Hello ladies and gentlemen, Tevaron here, and welcome to another episode of Friday Night Magic. Now, in the current metagame, control isn't what I would call excellent. There's several reasons for that. The biggest one being that the format now is so large and diverse that it's impossible to build a control deck that can take on all comers. The also major factor in that same vein is that there are no sideboarding options in Magic Duels. I know that there are some of you who have never actually played a game of actual paper Magic in a tournament setting. In such settings, you come with your 60-card deck plus an additional 15-card sideboard that after the first game of a 3-game set, you can change cards out from your sideboard in your main deck to tune your deck for what you're facing at that moment. We don't get that in Magic Duels, and so that's what makes control such a sketchy option right now. Nevertheless, we are going to be playing a black-white control deck that I have tuned to beat the aggressive decks, especially those containing many artifacts or enchantments and vehicles. This also lets us hedge a little bit versus the Sphinx's Tutelage Fevered Visions decks. So if you are in a place on the duels ladder where you are facing a lot of aggro, then this deck may be a good choice for you. I'm not going to predict what kind of results we're going to have today, as it's all going to be dependent on the matchups we face. But without further ado, let's look at the deck list. First up, we're running 2 of Fatal Push. The reason we're not running 3 of these is we don't have a tremendous number of ways to trigger the Revolt in the deck. It is fine, however, to kill a 2 mana cost or less creature for 1 black. We like that, and there are a couple of ways that we can trigger the Revolt in certain situations. We're also running 3 Fragmentize, which may look a little strange to you. As I said, this deck is tuned to beat the hyper aggro decks, most of which are running a significant number of vehicles, and also, as I said before, allows us to hedge versus Sphinx's Tutelage / Fevered Visions style decks. We're running 2 Glint-Sleeve Siphoner, just as good in this as it is in aggro, letting us draw cards, getting in for damage where it has menace. We're running 3 Gifted Aetherborn, a 2-mana 2/3 with Death Touch and Lifelink, does a great job of keeping our life total high while holding the ground on defense should we need to keep large ground creatures at bay. 2 Blessed Alliance lets us kill things that can't be targeted or are indestructible, as it makes the opponent sacrifice an attacking creature, can also gain us life, and if we have creatures out to block with, can untap those, limited only by the amount of mana we have to pay the Escalate. We are also running 2 Grasp of Darkness. For 2 black, we give a creature -4/-4 for a more pinpoint targeted type of removal. Also a singleton Oath of Liliana for another sacrifice effect, as well as additional value should we play one of our Planeswalkers. Running 2 Murder for a catch-all, 3 mana to destroy any creature is pretty good. Can't deal with hexproof or indestructible though. Also, 2 Anguished Unmaking are very necessary in the format to deal with threats our other removal can't handle, such as Planeswalkers or indestructible things when we don't have the ability to make them sacrifice them. Also, 3 Read the Bones. Some of you may wonder why we aren't using Live Fast, as we do have a small energy synergy with the Siphoner. However, I think the Scry 2 is more valuable than the 2 energy that we would gain from Live Fast. The first of our Planeswalkers is Liliana, the Last Hope, who does a great job of controlling the ground, and, as strange as it seems, is usually a better win condition versus control decks than versus aggro decks, as they have fewer ways to deal with her, and it's much easier to get to her ultimate against those. Gisela, the Broken Blade, flying for strike, a lifelinker who merges with Bruna to form Bracella, Voice of Nightmares. Kalitas, who again is a way to buffer our life total while getting rid of annoying things on the opponent's side of the board, such as Scrap Heap Scrounger, as when our opponent's non-token creatures die, they get exiled instead of going to the graveyard, and we get a 2/2 black zombie. We're running 2 Yahenni's Expertise. I'm very torn on whether this is actually better in the deck than Languish. It does allow us to play a free CMC 3 or less card from our hand without paying its cost. However, the limit on the minuses that it gives, whereas Languish gives -4/-4, is relevant in a lot of cases. We are also running Gideon, ally of Zendikar. Again, does well at pressuring the opponent as a 5/5 indestructible, can flood the board every turn with a 2/2 white knight ally, or give us an emblem to pump all of our creatures. We are running a singleton Planar Outburst. This may be incorrect. It might be better to run 2, but I haven't gotten to the point in my testing that I know what exactly to cut to put the second Planar Outburst in. Destroy all non-land creatures for 5 mana with an additional Awaken thing there if we have the amount of mana to pay it. Ob Nixilis Reignited draws us cards, controls the board, and has an emblem that pretty much wins the game if we can manage to stay alive while it does its job. Linvala the Preserver does a great job at bringing us back from a deficit and stabilizing the board, gaining us life, and pumping out an additional angel creature should we meet the proper criteria to do so. Noxious Gearhulk is a decent removal spell that also buffers our life total and is a menace threat that is hard to block. Sorin Grim Nemesis again fits into our theme of controlling the board and gaining card advantage. And finally, Bruna the Fading Light brings back a human or an angel when we cast it, flying vigilance 5/7, and merges with Gisela to form Gisela, Voice of Nightmares. Our mana base is 5 plains, 8 swamps, as we are heavier black than we are white, and we very much want to have 2 black sources on turn 2 to cast our Grasp of Darknesses and our Gifted Aetherborns, 2 Shambling Vent, 2 Isolated Chapel, 3 Aether Hub. This is a concession to the Glint-Sleeve Artificer. The mana in this deck is good enough that we can support playing the 3 of Aether Hub. 2 Evolving Wilds. These are a concession to needing to trigger Revolt occasionally. And then 4 Forsaken Sanctuary. That is the deck list. Let's hope we face some aggro players. Okay, I think this is a fine hand. We've got turn 2 Gifted Aetherborn into drawing cards, the ability to remove artifacts and enchantment, and a board wipe. So we will be keeping this. Control decks are very much mana hungry. It's very important to make your land drops, so I'm happy to see 3 lands in our opening hand here. Looks like our opponent led off with a Renegade map. We will lead off with Forsaken Sanctuary. Alright, showing us an island there. They may be on Dimir or even Grixis. I haven't seen a lot of Esper being played this season. Could be that too, though. I mean, honestly, if there's a third color, it could be any of the other colors that haven't been shown to us yet, but those are the most likely. A Bonesaw, so this must be an improvised deck. Sacking the Renegade map to make their land drop for an island. And playing a Weaponcraft Enthusiast. Alrighty. What is the equip on this one? Yes, okay. It might be in our best interest to wipe the board next turn, but I'm not going to go too strong on that. As is, we're going to be swinging with our Gifted Aetherborn and gaining some life. We also could have read the bones there by playing our untapped source, but I want to get these comes into play tapped lands out of the way. And I'm uncertain here if I want to fragmentize this bone saw or not, or perhaps just a servo. Keeping their artifact count low is probably in our best interest. Let's get rid of a servo, shall we? And then we'll see what is forthcoming. If we need to, we can expertise into Read the Bones, and that looks like that's exactly what we're going to do. We will swing with our Gifted Aetherborn first to attempt to get in extra damage and to gain some life. And they held everything back. And now that we've drawn Lily, I think I want to expertise into her instead of the Read the Bones. We will attack. Alright, you're going to need to block with one more if you want to kill that Aetherborn. Alright, just let it hit. That's what we wanted. Good. Alright, Yahenni's expertise then. And we will cast Liliana. And they don't have a creature land out, so we are going to tick her down and recover our Gifted Aetherborn. Confirm. What do we mill? A land and a Fatal Push. That's fine. Alright, another Whirler Rogue. We'll see how we deal with that. There's a Fragmentize, so that's good. We'll play our Sanctuary. Play our Aetherborn. We will tick Lily up and kill a Thopter. And I think we're going to hedge our bets on keeping Lily alive and fragmentize this, though if they have removal, then the Whirler Rogue can kill it on its own. So maybe we don't do this? No, I think we do. Just keep their artifact count low so that they can't improvise out something ridiculous on us. Alright, Thopter Spy Network. Well, that would have been a reason to keep the Fragmentize if we had known that that was in there. We are very happy to trade our Aetherborn for the Whirler Rogue, though. And since they don't have a way to give their things haste, Lily should be able to keep the Thopter Spy Network in check. We could just Anguished Unmaking it, too. Let's see if we can hit an untapped land. We can. We want both of these. So, we are going to tick Lily up, then play our planes, and Anguished Unmaking this network. Alright, a Gearseeker Serpent. That is the type of thing I was talking about. Not exactly improvised, but it is improvised, just by another description. Okay. And they can make it unblockable. They definitely have enough to do that. So, I think our best bet here is to tick Lily down. Get some value from her. And, ooh, get lucky as well. We will take that Noxious Gearhulk for certain. Kill that, gain some life. Yes, please destroy it. And play our Shambling Vent. Esperzoa, okay. Good combination there. Reverse Engineer to draw 3 cards. And again, our Lily is in danger of just dying. And it doesn't seem like there's much that we can do about that. We can give them another target in the form of Gideon. So we'll go ahead and tick up on the Esperzoa. And then we will play out Gideon. And make a Knight ally. And we're also going to just play out the Siphoner. And attack our opponent for 5. Alrighty. A decent life spread here, 27 to 11. They do have cards in hand while we do not. There's the Bonesaw they bounced with the Esperzoa. And a second Bonesaw. Going to go ahead and equip those. Are you going to kill Gideon instead of Liliana? It looks like that may be the case. And they are, okay. Alright, there is a Scrap Heap Scrounger. And a battle at the bridge. So they're going to kill probably our Siphoner. Oh no, they're going to improvise and kill our Gearhulk. Gotcha. So now they are empty-handed. Oath of Liliana is good. Let's cast it first and see what they choose to sacrifice. Probably just the Scrounger. And indeed. And so we will tick Lily down. She's going to die anyway. Get back our Noxious Gearhulk. And we could have there just recurred the Gearhulk and killed this. Either way, Lily is not going to be around. So we are going to activate our Shambling Vents and crash for 3. Three creatures, that is. 6 damage total. This will give us enough energy to pay and draw extra card with our Glint-Sleeve Siphoner there. Should it survive until our next turn. Esperzoa trigger, bounce a Bonesaw. Alright. They drew a Merchant's Dockhand, okay. Not incredibly scary. Is a card advantage engine if they're able to get that going. However, we have 2 draws here at removal. And we already have a Gearhulk in hand. So that may be our target instead of the Esperzoa. 6 damage a turn is a lot, but it's not nearly as much when you're at 29. And we will pay the energy, draw a card. Anguished Unmaking is nice. Let's go ahead and Noxious Gearhulk. And get rid of this Dockhand. Yes, please. And we could Anguished Unmaking the Esperzoa, but it's really not a huge factor at the moment. So we will save it for something more relevant. I'm going to bring back a Scrap Heap Scrounger. I don't care at all about that. It can't block. Generate some more energy with our Siphoner. And the Scrounger may be the target that we're looking for with the Anguished Unmaking so that they can't recur it, but we'll see what else they present to us. They are at 5. so maybe worth it to just get rid of whatever blocker they may be able to deploy. And a Gearseeker Serpent, that seems worth it to me. Interested to see if they swing with their Esperzoa here. And they choose not to. Well, we are going to go ahead and unmake this. And then all they can block is this, and they're dead. Both of these creatures here have Menace. They only have one available blocker. And we will continue, and we'll swing with the two that have Menace. You can't block that. Well, that was a decent first game. Hopefully we can get a few more like that. I'll see you there. Okay, again, this is a fine hand. I will go ahead and keep it. I'll lead off with our tapped land. Alright, Evolving Wilds. Into a mountain. Shambling Vent. However, I want to get our Aetherborn online. Always surprised by the lag. Don't know why I am at this point. Alright, Dragonskull Summit. And pass. Well, we will try to swing for 2. And it appears that's going to connect, so that's good for us. And we want to hold up Anguished Unmaking, I think. So we'll go ahead and play another Swamp and pass. Alright, Harness Lightning on the Aetherborn. Guess they were waiting to see if we played anything that they would rather kill. Looks like they are Grixis. Gisela? Well, let's play her, shall we? Probably dead. Yep. Disintegration. At least we're not taking 3 from it, as they don't have an artifact. Fetching for a second black source there. We would love to get one of our Read the Bones here. Haha! Always ask. Sometimes you get answered. Ooh. Well, I want the Aetherborn for sure, so we'll take that. The Gearhulk is a fine draw as well. We don't have the mana up to play the Aetherborn, so we'll play our Shambling Vent here. And we'll have enough mana to play Gearhulk next turn, should they present us with a worthwhile target. Unfortunately, Anguished Unmaking cannot kill Fumarole, as it says exile target non-land permanent. Don't want to expose my Shambling Vent to removal at the moment either, so we'll just be satisfied with playing out our Aetherborn. And passing back over. A Glimmer of Genius, okay? Just as an example of what I was talking about before we started playing in the deck tech section, with sideboards and such, Gifted Aetherborn is a card that in these control matchups we would side out, as it's not nearly as impactful. We would bring in something that's a bigger threat in the later game. Much better versus aggro than it is in these control matchups. It just doesn't do enough in those. Alright, Gearhulk, we will probably just Anguished Unmake that. They're going to flash back the Glimmer almost certainly. So we'll wait till that resolves so we don't affect their scrying there. Alright, let's pause and unmake this thing. Unfortunately, they are outdrawing us. Alright, Chandra. We have a way to deal with her as well. Hopefully they'll just tick her up, and they are. Well, this is the last of our Anguished Unmakings, but they went to good causes, I think. Going way down here, but our Aetherborn is available to gain us some life, as is our Shambling Vent, which is safe to be attacked with now, since the opponent is tapped out. Liliana is a very good draw as well. Makes me not want to swing with everything, as we would need to protect her from wandering fumaroles. Yeah, I think we will deploy Lily. And we could tick her down to recur Gisela. That would open us up to a Radiant Flames into them swinging at Liliana. So, for the moment, we're just going to tick her up on nothing, and we are not going to attack either. So they will need to be able to play 2 low-cost removal spells and still have the mana to activate and swing with Fumarole to deal with Lily, unless they have direct damage that they can just point at her. Alright, fetching a mountain. So they are for sure just Grixis. They have not shown us a 4th color. And there is Kalitas, who could be a problem. They do have counter magic up. Gideon is nice. Let's plus Lily on Kalitas. Then we will swing with our Gifted Aetherborn. That connects. Very reluctant to run anything into a counterspell here. I think the most likely to resolve is Gideon, as they may just have up Metallic Rebuke. So we're going to try that. And it appears they don't have a hard counter, so the Metallic Rebuke thing could have been a good read. Let's put out a Knight. And we'll pass. They have Unlicensed Disintegration, though. That gives them a zombie. And Oath of Liliana. Yup. So they have the ability to kill one of our Planeswalkers here. It's just up to them which one they want to deal with more, Gideon or Liliana. But it appears they're not going to do that. They didn't activate Fumarole. Okay. Blessed Alliance is cool. Which is better to play, the Expertise or the Noxious Gearhulk? Well, Expertise does not deal with this, but it does in conjunction with Lily. let's go ahead and see if we can get expertise to resolve. And it does. We're not going to play the Blessed Alliance. Then we'll tick Lily up on Kalitas. And ticking Gideon up doesn't really do anything. I think it's better to just generate a blocker. There is Glimmer. If we tick him up, we can hit for 5, but then a Fumarole easily just kills him. I don't think the 5 damage is worth the loss of our Planeswalker so easily. Alright, there is Saheeli, so she can kill Gideon. All they have to do is tick her up and then redirect her damage to Gideon. She will also be able to keep Lily in check if we can't get rid of her. And there is a Jace for them, and they'll be generating a zombie here. I think it's just 1, even though they played 2. Yeah, they'll only get 1 zombie. They chose to bounce our Knight ally. Yes, please. Yes, I do. Let's make Gisela, shall we? And we will tick up on the zombie. They can bounce with Jace, but we can just replay our things. Yep. Redirect to Liliana, keep her from ultimating. And going to hit her with a Fumarole for 4. It's what I suspect, at any rate. We don't have a human in the yard. Bruna can also recur our Glint-Sleeve Siphoners. They are humans. Alright, a land. So we will tick her up again on the zombie. And we will play out Gisela. Spell Shrivel. Insidious Will. We had the mana to pay for the Spell Shrivel. Alright, continue. We do know they have the Spell Shrivel now. They showed us that. So they have the ability to counter our Blessed Alliance, so it's in our best interest to activate our Shambling Vent and try to block. Though they do have enough mana if they spend everything and tap out to activate both of these Fumaroles. Which would open them up to Bruna coming down and getting Gisela and becoming Gisela again. Alright, well, we are going to try to block. And block the Fumarole. And they're going to trade, that's fine. So we don't want to try to cast Bruna at this point. We may want to just tick Lily down and recur something, the Gifted Aetherborn perhaps. Not actually in a position of being able to cast the Gisela without getting countered. They do have that Spell Shrivel. I think though what we're going to do is just tick her up again on the zombie and Blessed Alliance if they attack with the Fumarole, as if we don't escalate it, we have enough mana to pay for the spell Shrivel. That is, if they don't have a hard counter now. Alright, Saheeli is in a position to ultimate. I don't know if they have actually built their deck such that they can get 3 different artifacts with different names, but that is something to be aware of. Alright, here comes the Fumarole. We want to wait until it attacks. Make them sacrifice it, or try to. Alright, Blessed Alliance. Sacrifice an attacking creature. That's why they're attacking with the zombie. So that gets that gone. And we'll play our land. Again, they have the spell Shrivel up that can counter Bruna. However, her trigger still happens. How relevant that is, I'm not sure. But we are just going to pass for the moment. And now we'll see if they have a relevant suite of targets for Saheeli's ultimate. They're just ticking her up. Jace as well. And we're probably going to get buried under this Planeswalker advantage. Alright, just passing to us. Sorin. So we probably just need to start jamming threats, because they're drawing an extra card every turn while scrying twice. And I think we'll start with Sorin. Okay, there's the spell Shrivel we know about. Doesn't mean that they don't have any other counter spells in hand. They've drawn a ton of cards and scryed irrelevant things to the bottom of their deck. Interesting there that they activated Jace before Saheeli. A Dynavolt Tower, okay. So that is a relevant artifact they have. And did they tick her up? I think that's a 9. Yeah, that's a 9. Yeah, they did. So they must not be built to take advantage of her ultimate, as most of these decks aren't. We need to try to do this, so let's do it. We'll get Gisela no matter what here. Yes, please. And it looks like Bruna happens as well. They can still just bounce with Jace. Or they can Dark Intimations. Yep, sacrifice. And I think we discard the Fatal Push. Got back Kalitas there. And we're going to just get ground out here. I don't think that there's any way we can get back into this game with the way that it's played out at this point. And they're at the point that they're probably going to just start activating this Dynavolt Tower as well. Play this, and then try to resolve our Gearhulk. There we go. They could kill it in response, so that they get the zombie. We do still kill Kalitas and gain 4 life, though. And they'll shoot us for 3, thereby negating most of that life gain. Yes, please. And there is Liliana, so that is pretty much the nail in the coffin. We'll see what card we draw. If it's not something that I think gives us a chance, we'll just concede, as this is going to take a few turns for them to kill us, but the game is pretty much over. Zombie? And yeah, that's not going to do it. It kills the Dynavolt Tower, but that's not incredibly relevant. So good game, opponent. We'll go on to the next one. Okay, we will be keeping this. The Aether Hub is a bit awkward, but I think it's fine. Combos well with our Glint-Sleeve Siphoner, giving us enough energy when we first play it to draw a card the next turn if she survives. Alright, Highland Lake from the opponent. Probably a Fevered Visions deck. Play our hub. We drew a permanent white source, which is good. Play our Siphoner and hope she lives. We would very much like to draw an extra card here. And it looks like she is going to survive, and it doesn't appear to be a Fevered Visions deck. I don't think those play carry Zev. Yes, we will. Blessed Alliance, very nice. We'll play our Forsaken Sanctuary. And since we don't plan on blocking, we'll start attacking. Also gives us an energy should we need to play this Blessed Alliance. Not really keen on making them sacrifice their legendary monkey token that goes away every turn anyway. And we do have the ability to expertise next turn should we need to. Hopefully that won't be too necessary here. So with Carry Zev in the mix, this may be a prowess deck. Not that she has prowess, but she seems like the kind of aggressive creature that a deck like that would want to play. And there is Fevered Visions, so maybe it's an amalgam. Not enough energy. Murder is good. We are going to fetch up a Plains here so that we have 2 permanent white sources. And I'm not going to wait for them to untap as they could be running counterspells. We're just going to go ahead and murder Carry Zev. And attack. We'll be drawing a card and losing 2 life as we are above the 4-card limit there. Second Siphoner. There is a Jessian Thief, which kind of confirms my theory about prowess. Card draw for the opponent as well. Yes, please. It's a little bit counterintuitive to be drawing extra cards, but we want to find our Fragmentize. So do we Gideon or do we second Siphoner? I think we're going to Gideon, but we're going to swing first. Alright. We want to use the Aether Hub, please. And we'll make a knight. Alright, just a land. Need Fragmentize. Probably need to block this Jessean Thief. Of course, it only draws them a card if it deals damage to me, not if it attacks Gideon. They redirected the Fevered Visions to Gideon, so we want to keep him alive. We will be blocking. They could have a means to give her Trample in hand, though. Fiery Temper, taking care of Gideon, that's fine. If they had the Fiery Temper, they should have just attacked me with the Jessean Thief to get the potential of drawing a card. Siphoner trigger, not enough energy. Lily is a fine draw. Not the Fragmentize we were looking for, but decent nonetheless. Let's go ahead and shrink. And we could play the Siphoner, but I think we want to Blessed Alliance if we can get it to work. Go ahead and attack. Kind of in a race here. They'll redirect the visions to Lily, almost certainly. Yep, she's at 2. Alright, Thermo Alchemist. Maybe at the point now that we need to think about casting Expertise. Drag under. Put that. Prowess trigger. Trigger here, but it's sick. Bounce our Glint-Sleeve. Have something else to trigger more prowess. I'm not going to Blessed Alliance that thing. Not when it has 0 power. Alright. Well, we need to play an untapped land this turn. Let us plus. Sure, on that. Doesn't matter, we're going to kill it anyway. Or try to. Yep, that's fine. Play this. And we're also going to cast the second one. And that's about all we've got for this turn. Lily going to 1. Sorin is a decent draw, can gain us life if it resolves. Oh, and they didn't choose to redirect to Lily. That's interesting. Might mean they have a Fiery Temper to just kill her outright. Alrighty. Looks like they're just going to end phase. And we will draw, I think. Still not seeing any of our Fragmentizes. Nothing really to recur with Lily, so might as well be ticking her up. We need to play an untapped land if we want to have the ability to Blessed Alliance available. So let's tick her up on nothing. You can't respond. Oh, Grip of the Royal. I was going to say, you can't respond with a Fiery Temper here. Because the loyalty change is a cost. So it happens immediately. Well, let's go ahead and attack for 2. We're doing an okay job at racing at the moment. Let's play a Swamp. And play Sorin. Could get countered. Fiery Temper to our face. They may just have enough burn left to burn us out. In which case, we might be better off killing one of our Siphoners to gain life, but we do have 4 life gain here. So, let's plus. Alright, that is 2 to them. We could cast this, but I want the guaranteed life gain of Blessed Alliance. Alright, going to 5 here. We're going to discard Evolving Wilds and Forsaken Sanctuary. Oh, just need 1? Okay, good deal. Discard the Evolving Wilds. Exquisite Firecraft to our face, okay. And Shock. We're going to try to gain 4 life. They could still have us dead. Touch of the Void will do it. Good game. Yeah, I think we'll keep this. It's a little slow, but control in general is a little slow, so hopefully we're facing something that this deck is actually built to beat here. Haven't had a super successful run, but as I said, control is specifically built to beat certain things, and this metagame is really wide open. If this is a vehicle-based aggro deck, we're going to win. And if not, it's going to be a little more dicey. Okay. Alright, we have the ability to play out our Aetherborn here, so I think we're going to do that. Alright, vampires. We should be halfway decent versus vampires. It's quite similar to the vehicle decks. Okay, we'll play our Forsaken Sanctuary, and we'll crash. We have Fatal Push available to us. Since we have no energy, we can't actually cast Grasp of Darkness until we untap our Forsaken Sanctuary here. Alright, going to flip their air with an Incorrigible Youths. So we'll be taking 4 here, but we're going to go ahead and kill this thing. And then we can deal with the Youths once we untap. Fatally push that. We'll want to grasp this on our turn in case they have any pump spells available to them. Go ahead and do that. And then we'll swing for 2 and gain 2. Hopefully we can cast Sorin. Somewhat on curve. We're only 1 mana short of being able to cast him. Right, a second air. They're going to go ahead and flip her immediately with a Fiery Temper, so they're most likely going to kill our Aetherborn. Yep. That life gain is very hard for an aggro deck to overcome. Alright, another Aetherborn. So, the question is, do we murder this or just deploy our Aetherborn? And I think we just deploy our Aetherborn. And pass. Alright, looks like we're going to get hit for 3. Anything else? Yes. A pseudo-lord. Stormkirk Condemned, or Stromkirk Condemned. They can discard a card to pump their vampires till end of turn. Only once a turn. So we probably want to murder that so that our Aetherborn doesn't die on the attack. And unfortunately, we did not draw our 6 land. We have 2 6-drops in hand. They are going to disintegrate our Aetherborn. Fair enough. We kill their things, they kill ours. Alright, going to 14 here. They play Olivia. Land, untapped? No. We can't really afford to attack with the Shambling Vents into Olivia. Hopefully, they don't have something to play and then give haste with her. Looks like we're just going to be taking 6, so we're going to 8. Alright, there's our untapped mana source. We're going to start with the Gearhulk. Take out Olivia. Yes, please. Gain us some life. Get rid of her. A Lightning Axe is going to eat the Gearhulk. We may be taking 3 to the face from a Fiery Temper. No, a Stensia Masquerade. So that will be pumping their vampires when they hit us. This very much opens the door for Sorin to take this game over, though. That is, if they don't have a 3 mana or 3 damage burn spell in hand to kill him after he kills the Heir of the Night. Or they could have a haste creature to attack into him. We are going to do it for just the 3. We'll gain 3. And we can also fragmentize this Masquerade. It was more important to actually get that thing off the board, though. They have left. We will continue. Finish this out. And there is another Condemned. So they can discard a card to pump this up. What we are going to do, though, is start off by plussing Sorin. Dealing 5 to the opponent. That is nice. We're then going to fragmentize this enchantment. And we're going to play Ob Nixilis and kill this vampire. There we go. And I think we should have this game locked up now. Smuggler's Copter. So that's another target that we would have for a Fragmentize should we draw it. Alright, a Fury Blade Vampire. I'm not really worried about that. Well, we'll play our land. We are going to draw with Ob Nixilis. Linvala is excellent. We're going to kill this with Sorin. Yeah, crew that. Doesn't really matter. We're not planning on attacking with anything this turn. Then we're going to... Well, that was a little bit of missequencing there. I should have played the Linvala first to trigger her life gain. So as such, we're going to play our Gifted Aetherborn instead. Which in all honesty was another mistake. I should have just went ahead and played the Linvala. If they have a creature that can kill one of our Planeswalkers with the Smuggler's Copter, looks like we got lucky there though. Alright, read the bones. Let's start by plussing our Planeswalkers. Alright. Plus Ob Nixilis. And Blessed Alliance, that's fine. Let's be safe and play our Linvala out to block this Smuggler's Copter should they top deck a creature to crew it with. We do have Blessed Alliance, but we like to be doubly safe. Alright, there is an Incorrigible Youth. Not really worried about that. Looks like they are going to crew the Copter. Important to remember that this is the AI at this point, and the AI does make silly decisions. And let's plus our Planeswalkers. Alright. Alright, murder. We should have the game here. Exactly 9 damage. The opponent has no cards in hand. And I think that will be it for this episode of Friday Night Magic, friends. As I said, I'm not convinced that this deck is the be-all, end-all. I think the evidence shows that it's not, since we won literally half of our matches this Friday night, but I hope it does give you an idea of something that can do well against the aggressive decks such as vampires or the myriad of vehicle decks that are in the format right now. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please leave a like below. It really does help tremendously. And hit that subscribe button if you'd like to see more from me in the future. I have been Tevaron, and until next time, friends, be excellent to each other.